Why in the world, Parshas Yisro, why in the world would anybody worship an idol? What kind of idiot does a person have to be to worship an idol? There are a lot of dumb things that people could do, right? I mean, we've never encountered any of them here, Baruch Hashem, but there are dumb things that people could do. Why would anyone worship an idol? Please don't try to prove me wrong. The first thing that we have in Aseret HaDibros, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am Hashem Yigor Asher Tzeichicha Me'eretz Mitzrayim, I took you out of the land of Egypt. That's the first of the Aseret HaDibros. It doesn't actually sound like a command. It sounds more like setting the stage, like a foundation. And it's interesting, it doesn't say I'm Hashem Yigor who created the world. I'm Hashem Yigor that took you out of Mitzrayim. Unique relationship, just us and him. The world, that's everybody. Mitzrayim, that's us and Hashem. Personal relationship. Next thing, do not make yourself an idol and don't bow down to it and don't serve it. This is like the centerpiece of the Torah. I'm going to make an idol? How bored do you got to be to do that? What's going on? How do we understand this? I'm going to try to the best of my ability to kind of unpack a difficult concept. Hashem created the world. There's a creator. He created every person with two qualities. They are creators and they are creations. Creations. Does that sound better? Right? To be a creator means you're like God. To be a creation means you're not. It means you have to work at following the laws of the Creator. Every one of us has in us some kind of desire to lead and also some kind of desire to follow. You see people go mad about a sports team, about a politician, about a singer, an actor. They go crazy. Somehow they're part of this group. We're all going to go to this game and we're going to wear the same jerseys and we're going to what's happening over there? The need to be part of something bigger is baked into us. Sometimes, and some people have a little bit stronger on the other side, that they're the ones that everybody has to follow. So some people are looking to serve a God, some people are looking to be a God. However, this need to serve God was baked into creation. And at the time when Hashem creates Adam, the Rambam explains, he creates the world, there's a creator, he talks to them, he lets them know what's going on, they know God, they have no questions about that. And then, sometimes after sin, a couple of generations of sin, it becomes a little bit harder to see God and a little bit easier to see ourselves. And then we see ourselves as being separate. And how am I supposed to talk to this infinite being? But you know what? God has officers. He has officials. He has appointees. He has ministers, like a king has ministers. If the king's minister comes to your city, everybody comes out to see him and shows him this great respect. Because they know that the kingdom, he's an extension of the running of this kingdom. And you have to show respect, therefore, to that public official. And this nature of recognizing the importance of the minister, of the official, is critical as part of the service of the king, giving proper respect to his representatives. So the Rambam continues that in the time of Enosh, 2 generations later after Adam, people made a mistake. And they said, Just like you have to worship God, you have to worship his ministers. You have to show respect to them. The sun and the moon and the stars. And even the animals who have this great power that God has given them. And as the passage of time goes on, this becomes easier. It becomes more apparent. And people start saying, oh, yeah, God told me to tell you to worship the sun. God told me to tell you to worship the moon. Look at the power. The moon controls the tides. The sun gives life. The rain gives life. Without these things, we can't have any power. And it even sounds a little like reasonable. Like, yeah, like these are God's ministers. And there are two major explanations for what was wrong with this logic. The first thing is, if you're sitting in front of the king and the minister walks in, you don't bat an eyelash. You don't stand up for him. You don't acknowledge him. You know why? Because you're in the presence of the king, and all are nullified in the presence of the king. Nobody is important when you're in the presence of the king except the king himself. But when you're away from the king, then the minister is very important because he is the king's representative, but he's no more than that. And in the presence of the king, you don't even acknowledge him. But Hashem is everywhere. We're never supposed to be out of the presence of Hashem, even when we sin. We feel that we're out of the presence of Hashem. But Hashem is everywhere. So we never can show this respect, so to speak, to the officers of the king. They may have been appointed by Hashem to do a job. They may seem to have a power, but their power is only an extension of the power that Hashem gives. And there's an amazing mashal that Rav Simcha Wasserman used to give. And gradually people forgot this, and then they started saying, the sun told me, and the moon told me, and okay, so much blessing comes from the sun. Let's build a temple to worship the sun. And this continued until at one point they completely forgot that there was God himself. And Avram Avinu fights back, and he brings the message to the world. All these things didn't get here themselves. There's somebody running the show, and this is what Avram goes and teaches to the world. And this is the message of Avram Avinu to the world, that there's a God who does kindness to us. Time goes on, Mitzrayim, things get all covered up again, all lost. They're the experts of Avodah Zarah. They got it all worked out, Avodah Zarah. And they don't see God. We said the world was created with the 10 statements. Mitzrayim gets 10 plagues, each one to show on another level that God is here. Now I want to back up a minute. So what is the thing about worshiping idols? What makes it Avodah Zarah, an alien, foreign worship? We have a need to recognize something bigger than ourselves. But we also want to do it our way. So Rav Simcha Wasserman gave an example. A guy goes into a store. He sees an iPhone. There was no iPhones back in his day, but we're making it a little more contemporary. He says, how much is that phone? He says, this is a top phone. This is $1,800. He says, $1,800 is a lot of money. I see the boss isn't here. Right? Do you see the boss? The boss got this big business. He's got better things to worry about than a single phone. I'll tell you what. I'll give you $100. You put it in your pocket. You give me the phone. You know what? I'll give you $200. Put it in your pocket. Give me the phone. I get the phone for less. You get $200 for your pocket. The boss is too busy to recognize this anyway. He's got a bigger world to worry about. He couldn't care less about these little things that are going on. He said, this is what Avodah Zarah is. Avodah Zarah is when we try to relate to the world in a way that it's just between us and the item in the world that we're connecting to. And we've cut it off from God. The example given by the way that it's spoken about in Chazal is somebody who cuts a tree from its roots. He uproots the tree. The guy says, oh, I love the apples on this tree. I want to go elsewhere. I'm going to take the tree with me and I'll just always have apples, right? It doesn't work. The tree is going to die if it's not connected to the ground, right? It doesn't work. But the sense is, the concept is that this tree exists by itself, and I don't have to go back to its source. Avodah Zarah is when I take something in the world and I try to give it its own existence and connect to it by itself. And by the way, we do this with everything. I made so much money. One second, how'd that happen? A guy, it's the political situation, it's the military situation, it's all of these things that we talk about, that we think are so real. Yeah, but actually there's something higher happening that's maintaining the situation, and it's calling us to get to our attention. And so when we try to give credence to the outside things and forget that this is all coming from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we've completely lost the entire sense and purpose of all of these things. And it's like standing up and giving great cover to the minister, turning our back to the king and bowing down to the minister when he walks in. Because Hashem is everywhere. I'm not going to get to the second explanation for it. Maybe we should. The thing is, though, I really wanted to talk about Shabbos. Because the Gemara says as follows. Anyone who worships Avodah Zarah, it's like he denied the entire Torah. Anybody who worships that, it's like he denied the entire Torah. And Rashi brings from Rav Moshe Hadarshan, anybody who breaks Shabbos, it's as if he worshipped Avodah Zarah. How come? What's the big deal? The big deal is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, and then comes Shabbos, and he stops creation. Now, even though his work isn't a difficult work, but he stopped creating, so we have to stop creating on Shabbos. And by doing that, we acknowledge that this world is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's world. We recognize that this world is actually his. And therefore we don't work, and therefore we don't do creative activities that require us to make changes in the physical world or to show some kind of control over the physical world. And we have these melachos of Shabbos. So the understanding that not worshiping idols, recognizing Hashem as creator, and Shabbos goes hand in hand, is critical to the identity of a Jewish person. A person who worships Avodah Zarah, you can't drink his wine. If he touches it, you have to worry. Maybe he used it for Avodah Zarah. You know the halacha is, a person who breaks Shabbos publicly, you're not even allowed to drink his wine if he touches it, if it wasn't a cooked wine. Because it's a complete denial of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world. However, whoever denies Avodah Zarah and sees Hashem in everything, whoever keeps the Shabbos and sees this as Hashem's day and a day for connection to Hashem, whoever uses it that way, it's as if he keeps the entire Torah. It's a connection that means he is fully connected on every level to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Gentlemen, I want to wish you a lovely Shabbos.